MLS Aces Podcast. This is your host Tom Sweezy. This is episode 333. I'm knocking off 100 episodes off our resume here, Jason. But joined with me once again, Jason Vivang. Jason, it is CONCACAF Champions Cup recording day.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm pumped, man. I'm ready to roll with my boys up in Vancouver. I've been saying it the whole time. I've been saying it the whole time.
I texted you, so let's just dive into Champions Cup conversation because I feel like it's the most important thing going on right now. Let's talk about it. So the Vancouver Whitecaps hosted Inter Miami last week at a record crowd, an MLS record crowd for the Vancouver Whitecaps of 54,000 fans in attendance. And I will say it wasn't just filled with pink jerseys. There was a lot of light blue, white jerseys going on, and that was unbelievable to see. The Whitecaps did pick up a 2-0 win at home over Inter Miami. And I mean, I don't know if I was a believer that the Whitecaps could do it. I'll be perfectly honest. I think it was all just.
Are you full on still, or are you a full on believer now?
Sorry,
because there's still a game versus Messi and friends.
That was pre that Inter Miami game.
Right.
Now I am on the path that I think whoever makes it out of this game, Vancouver or Miami, can go into a one-game final against the Mexican club and win it and potentially be the second ever.
So you're at either team you're pretty okay with now.
I'm okay with either team. Mm-hmm. I think the Whitecaps are the super fun story. And so what's your opinion on it? If the Whitecaps win, it's an unbelievable story. The team's up for sale. Again, I've compared it to Major League in the past. It's a great story, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have Miami, who've invested all these resources, money, talent, Messi, the future of the club, everything like that, into winning every single competition that they're in. And yes, they've won 2 competitions in the 2 years Messi's been there, two trophies, whatever, in the 2 years Messi's have been there. But the Champions Cup has to be it, right? This and MLS Cup have to be what this Miami ownership has been pushing for. So both stories are unbelievable. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
No, I totally agree. I think Inter Miami won't be satisfied without MLS Cup. And obviously CONCACAF Champions Cup as well. I think if they, I know the fun thing is to talk about what's disappointment, but I actually do think just winning Supporters Shield for them wouldn't be enough. And who knows if they'll even do that, but my point is they did that last year. It is what it is. What people think of Supporters Shield is what people think of it, right? We're not changing anyone's opinions here.
Yeah.
But as a club, I can't see them being okay with that anymore.
Yeah.
You won Leagues Cup. They've won things that most people, and I'm not saying myself, or I'm not arguing for anyone. I'm just saying most people would say the trophies that they've won have not been the most important trophies. And I think we can all agree that CONCACAF Champions Cup is probably the most important trophy, and MLS Cup is probably the second most important trophy.
I view it. How high do we hold the Seattle Sounder organization before they won Champions Cup or Champions League at the time? Then they won it. And now I feel like since then we hold them to such a high level because they were the first modern day club to win the modern version of the competition, right? I feel like that is almost the same level many people are holding this Inter Miami organization to. And they haven't even done it. Yes, they won Supporter Shield. Yes, they won.
I'm sorry. They're holding them to the level of a winning team.
I think we're holding them to the same prestige almost because not we, but I think the general we are holding them to the same prestige because of Messi, because of Busquets, because of Alba, because of everything they've done. And this is the giant.
But is that not? I don't know. Is that not unfair?
No, I'm not.
Or is that unfair? Because in some ways, they have the best player in the world.
I think it's unfair that if at the end of this Messi experience, there is no Champions Cup and or no MLS Cup title to put in the trophy case in Inter Miami's stadium, I think then they don't deserve that same recognition that we give the Sounders organization.
If they win nothing, oh yeah, no. I totally agree, but I don't think it's unfair to hold them to a standard of winning those. I don't think they're at the Sounders level, and I don't think it's even comparable because what the Sounders have been able to do is way more, right? Historically way more. But I don't think it's unfair to hold Miami to you need to win trophies to be considered good or successful, because where they currently are, they should be winning trophies, and they have been. I mean, again, they did win 2 trophies. In
2 years, yes.
Whenever you think of those trophies, is what you think of them. And like I said, they haven't won Champions Cup, which is the biggest trophy. They haven't won MLS Cup, which you need to do. Like they have to win one of those or both of those for me to really be like, okay, that was great. But I'm not going to sit in like, if they don't get either of those and Messi's gone, let's say, I don't know if I would consider it like totally unsuccessful.
I guess. I guess I compare it to like what David Beckham with the Galaxy was and MLS Cups and everything like that.
But MLS is so different.
And that is also
yes. Like look at, I mean, this Vancouver team, Cincinnati, Columbus, like there's a lot more competition now. And there's a lot higher level players playing for some of these clubs that it is very different. But yeah, I do think like we hold Miami to a higher standard that they themselves would probably admit holding themselves to. So like I don't know. Like I think they're going into this game with a lot of confidence. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all if they don't think they could. I would be surprised if they didn't think they could win this game.
Well, they are up against a little bit of an uphill battle, right? It was the away goal thing still counts in CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they did not score an away goal in Vancouver. So, realistically, they have to do what they did again against LAFC. They need to win big. They need to dominate. They need to score fast. They need to score often type of deal. And they rested Alba, Messi, Busquets, Suarez, and any other major starter that you want to really mention during their midweek game. And we'll talk about the midweek game in a second. But I want to give the Vancouver Whitecaps their love because Jesus was that first leg unbelievable. And then go out to what they did weekend.
Yeah, we buried the team that I really wanted to talk about.
Well, I wanted to, I guess, get the Miami conversation out of the way because I think it's a fair conversation.
We did so have you watched the MLS recap show?
Like,
every time. Actually, I think this last episode didn't start with Miami, but I swear every episode starts with the Miami game. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And it's fair. I get it.
It's not fair. No, it's not. It's not always the most interesting game. Half the time, my game of the week is not the Miami game. If it was me, I would have started with the Vancouver game versus Minnesota.
I mean, that is a fair point.
They actually might have. They didn't start with it this week. I can't remember what they started.
As long as Vancouver and Miami, whichever team, are still playing Champions Cup games and MLS games, I think it's fair that those are the top 2 teams that people are talking about in MLS circles, whether it's Apple TV, whether it's a podcast, whatever.
I think Cincinnati deserves a shout, but yeah.
Yes. I just think the balancing multiple competitions, you're going to go win the Continental.
Yeah. While the Champions Cup is going on, there's going to be 2 – the only teams in that are going to be the ones that are dominating the conversation. Especially because both of them are somewhat successful. I mean, obviously Vancouver's very successful. Miami's had more of
I'm taking domination and I'm like, how can I transfer this into just the Whitecaps are dominant? Like I texted this to you when I was watching
Jesper Sorensen, coach of the year, man.
I mean, that's so far he has to be.
Easy front runner.
It was Brian White scored the first goal in that first leg, right? Like Vancouver goes up early, then late. Miami's kind of pressing for a late away goal, tie things up 1-1, whatever it may be. And then Sebastian Berhalter, who's been unbelievable. Get this kid to a USMNT camp, call up, whatever you got to do. Another Berhalter in the USMNT. I'm sure people will love that. But it's Pedro Vite. It's Brian
People hear White. Berhalter and freak out.
It's unbelievable, I think, what this Whitecaps team is doing. I texted you that Brian White started this game, and it was like the 82nd minute, and he's sprinting and still pressing Ustari so that Ustari
can get fully committed.
Like, this is a team that doesn't die. It doesn't stop. It goes, it goes, it goes. And whether it's Miami or a Liga MX club, they're not going to let you be comfortable with the ball. And I love that about them. So,
Dude, Brian White's tied for second in MLS, and he's played 2 less games than probably most of the players for goals scored. Like, Brian White is playing at an all-time level, and I think we've seen this Brian White before. We haven't, I don't know, seen it for as many games. Maybe I feel like it's been peaks. And I wouldn't even say like when he's not playing at this high of a level, I wouldn't say he's like bad. It's just like there are moments where Brian White is arguably one of the best strikers in the U.S. men's player pool.
I mean, I wouldn't argue against that. The dude scores double-digit goals every single year that he's primarily healthy. He scores.
And he's already at 6 this year. I mean 6 in MLS.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know his goals scored in ConcaChampions Champions.
I mean, it has to be another 2 or 3 at least.
Yeah, so he's getting close to 10 already on the season. I guess I probably could have looked that up in Wikipedia.
It's okay. It's fine. But you have him. You have Berhalter, who I think is playing at an unbelievable level. I think Pedro Vite as well.
Pedro Vite taking a step is huge. Like, he's playing like what they needed him to play like for years.
Literally, I think we said it last year. If Pedro Vite takes a step forward, then that adds a whole other dynamic.
He was the player I put. I mean, I've said this before, but he was the player I put on the X Factor. Yeah. I think Emmanuel Sabi's been really good.
Sabi's been great. Andres Cubas.
Right, just name the whole team. Like anyone who comes in on this team, because they have rotated. It hasn't been the same team every week. They've got a very good, next man up type deal going on here. And credit to the club, honestly. Everyone. And
it's like Jesper Sorensen was rotating this team in champion, like playing
and
the
Ryan
B team
Gauld
in
is
champions.
out.
Ryan Gauld is Sam Adekugbe has been out. He started this past week in MLS action, so that maybe gives a little bit more left back depth to 19-year-old Tate Johnson, who's been killing it at left back out of the draft.
And they still got Takaoka, my guy. I knew it would pay off. I knew it would pay off when I started this.
This has been the long-term burn.
2 or 3 years ago.
I don't know, man. It's unbelievable. Andres Cubas getting chirped at by Messi because he's pissing off Messi, which, look, they've played against each other in calm the ball action before, so they know each other well.
Yeah.
Eddie Ocampo, first of all, this dude is classic. Like, you could see Eddie Ocampo being like a stud right wing back for like a top Liga MX team and pulling the CONCACAF shit every single week. Like, he just eggs on a fight. I fucking love it. Matias Laborda's back healthy as well.
I mean, it's a team playing with a lot of confidence, and that confidence shows in like their attitude, their style. They're not afraid of anything, and I think maybe. I don't know. This would be kind of speculative, but like I feel like the Miami team last year, because it was more. What is this, Messi's 3rd year? So even then, it kind of doesn't make sense.
I mean, I guess he came half.
That was his full season. So yeah, full season. It did feel like teams were kind of like a little different against them. Yeah. I don't feel like that's happening this season, and I don't mean just with Vancouver. I mean with like most clubs, like. I don't know if people fear them as much as they did.
That's fair. And I don't think
I think they're still really good, but and I don't want to talk about the Fire this episode, but when they played the Fire, I wasn't like, the instant loss,
Yeah. I mean, look, the funny thing is Miami's only lost 2 games this year.
I know.
Or 3 games this year.
So really good.
In all competitions. But yes, I mean
they could be tied on points with Columbus and 1 point short of Cincinnati in the East.
Yeah, they've played one less team in MLS than everyone else too. So, or them in New England, I think, or whatever. But ultimately, I don't know about the rest of the league, but I don't know if this Vancouver Whitecaps team specifically is scared of any team, any Mexican club, any Inter Miami.
Dude, at this point, I don't think they even know who they're playing half the time. They just go out there and do their thing.
And I love it, and I absolutely love it. The other CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal was Tigres versus Cruz Azul at Tigres. It did finish with a 1-1 draw. Atlanta United legend JJ Purata with a late goal for Tigres.
We wanted Cruz Azul. I can't remember what we decided on.
I think we wanted Tigres to win, but ultimately I mean, ultimately, if somehow both of these teams got eliminated from the competition at the same time, I'd be happy about it. So that's
No, they're just playing to decide who's going to lose to Vancouver. So.
to Vancouver for Jesper Sorensen.
Or Miami, dude. Like I'll tell you what, if Miami goes through, I am fully on the train.
Yes, I agree with you.
I don't really get. I don't know. I kind of get like I don't know. I've seen people speculating like, oh, if Miami get through, do we root for Liga MX? And I'm like, no,
I can't do it. I
can't do it either. And I don't know. I've tried to understand it, but from my point of view, that's crazy.
Yes, I don't know. I hate Mexican soccer national team club teams more than I hate Lionel Messi, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I like Lionel Messi. I don't love the whole Miami deal, but like I think like why would I not root for them? It's better for the league. It looks so much better to win this. Like if you're a fan of Columbus, I think you want the MLS team to go on and win it regardless. It looks so much better. You really want to go talk to someone and be like, yeah, the league is pretty good. It's growing. It's like, no, we still lost, 15 times in a row. Not really, but.
Or if you want to hear like a Liga MX fan be like, you brought in the greatest player of all time and you still couldn't win the
cup. No, dude. I didn't even think of that.
I can't deal with that. So, and I have plenty of Liga MX fans in my life telling me stuff like that. So whatever. Let's move into MLS action, or is there anything else about Champions Cup that you want to talk about?
I think we kind of nailed it, honestly.
There we go.
I mean, for the listeners, they'll know the result, but for us.
Okay, so give me your
maybe prediction. What do you think?
Give me your prediction of what listeners are already going to know the answer to by the time they hear this.
This game, it's in Miami.
In Miami, Vancouver's up 2-0. Miami doesn't have Vancouver scores an away goal. Miami's.
I'm going to be bold. I think they score first.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Vancouver wins.
I'm not saying like you need to predict who wins, who loses. It's just who's moving on.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think Vancouver moves on.
I think it's Vancouver too.
And I've been rooting for Vancouver. I'm not going to pick against them, so.
I think it's Vancouver too. I do think they score an away goal and put Miami in a very tough spot, and ultimately, I don't know if even Messi's going to be enough to do that. I say that and watch
Messi scoring. Messi is scoring tonight.
Oh, Messi.
He might be getting 2.
He's gonna do like some stupid like goal and 3 assist numbers, but
I could see like a 1-2 Vancouver losing, but going through.
Yeah, something like that.
Like it's not crazy. Like it's not gonna be clean, and it's not gonna be straightforward. I guarantee it.
Hey, and then this is the same team that went to Mexico twice and got draws. So what do we know? I guess, but let's move into it. The transfer window is officially closed. Said that last week, but obviously there's deals that
squeak through
that get across the line. Yeah. A lot of interesting moves here. And let's go with LAFC. We'll have a little bit of an LAFC conversation right now. So as far as transfers, LAFC are brought in Frankie Amaya. Shout out Frankie Amaya, back in MLS on loan from Toluca for the rest of the season. The 24-year-old central midfielder obviously came into MLS with Cincinnati, thrived with the Red Bulls, then got sold to Toluca for like $4 million. He has 2 assists in 15 games for Toluca this year, but isn't even really kind of a regular on the team at this point. And then LAFC also brought in 26-year-old central midfielder Ryan Raposo from free agency. He's played on the Whitecaps the last few years, almost 150 games played for the Whitecaps at this point. He's won the Canadian Championship 3 times. He had 7 goal contributions for the Caps last year. 2 players that just kind of fit LAFC and Steve Trundle's style of they're not goal scorers, they're not creative players, but they're just guys who are going to work their ass off in central midfield. And we'll start with the transfers. Anything about the transfers that interest you there?
I mean, I think like when I think of LAFC, I feel like their midfield group has probably had the most turnover out of any of them. I think it's just Timothy Tillman at this point, who's been there for 3+ years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong,
think it wasn't Tillman's first year last year with the club. I don't know off the top of my head.
Didn't he win MLS Cup with them?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, and if that's the case, like I think this is like much needed depth and help in a midfield that has gone through a lot of changes. Like Ilie Sanchez is gone, Bogusz, they've lost a lot of pretty consistent guys
Yeah.
in their midfield. I mean, Ilie was what for like 4 years.
Ilie was there for
Yeah.
a while.
I have to look up Timothy Tillman. I need to know.
Tillman didn't. I just looked it up. He didn't win MLS Cup. He won the Open Cup last year, which was his first year.
Yeah, I knew he won a trophy, but
yeah, I mean, like if you're talking about experience in the midfield, like Ilie Sanchez, Edward Atuesta, two of the biggest names there. Bogusz, whatever he was, winger, central midfielder, striker.
I mean, he played all of it, but
yeah, exactly. But he was gone as well. So yeah, Tillman is still the most experienced midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, it's even worse than I was thinking in my mind because I was like, I feel like Timothy Tillman's been there for what 2 or 3 years, but
this is year 2.
Only a year and a half. So I think these are good moves. I like Frankie Amaya back in MLS. I think this just makes their team better. I'm sure we'll talk about them at some point. They're kind of in a weird spot this season. I don't know, but
I mean, we can roll right into the game on the weekend because it was actually a very exciting game that I didn't think. So LAFC versus St. Louis, it was a 2-2 draw at the end of it. LAFC saving a point at home, which I didn't think I'd have to say against St. Louis, who was struggling to score just in general this year. I mean,
even in this game, I feel like there was some struggling to score because one's a PK and the other one was.
Bro, if it wasn't, no, it was it was a PK got saved. It was 2 run of field goals, but it was.
Okay, but that first one was like a bounce around, like pinball machine.
Yes,
yeah.
but
I'm trying to remember.
it's a lot of soccer every single week, but ultimately, I feel like LAFC have been saved by Denis Bouanga just turning into what Denis Bouanga was. Not even like that he was bad last year, but like the Denis Bouanga we saw 2 years ago, right? Where he had like 50-something goal contributions like across an entire calendar year, like some stupid numbers like that or whatever it was. Like this is Denis Bouanga at the end of the game. You're down 2-1 and he gets a ball, drives down the side, cuts in, steps over 2 defenders. They're on their heels, and he puts one home past Ben Lunt, fantastic in replacement for Roman Berkey for St. Louis so far. But ultimately, it's like LAFC should not be hosting a team struggling offensively. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 1 goal was an own goal, but like shouldn't be doing this. And maybe, this is just kind of getting back into the rotation now that Champions Cup is done. But this team is struggling a little bit where I think if Denis Bouanga is not saving them, they're not doing well.
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you allow 2 goals to a team that has 7 total, including those 2 on the season.
Yeah.
It's bad. Like that's essentially like 200% what they're regularly doing, or 150% more. They're not even averaging a goal a game. So it is a St. Louis struggle. Maybe this gets St. Louis moving to like talk about St. Louis a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think LAFC will be fine. It's just not the start I expected out of this team, and I thought they would be stronger. I thought Marky Delgado coming in would kind of be like a solid replacement. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's taking a little bit longer than I expected.
Yeah, and maybe it is the balance of 2 competitions to start the year. Now we need to figure out the form in MLS.
But it's been like 4 weeks since they were 3 weeks?
No. Well, yes, yeah, you're right. 3 weeks.
It's roughly. I mean, the other game was like a week ago. So
you're right. You're 100% right. That's my
perception
of
time in my mind have been pretty bad today. So I don't blame you for questioning it.
No, it's more. I don't know what day of the week it is ever, or what day of the month it is. Probably is the better.
The bigger concern is LAFC has allowed 16 goals. I mean, they have a negative goal differential through 10 games.
Yeah, it hasn't been great. And, it's Hugo Lloris, I think, has struggled. I think we've seen shifts in formation. I think, to me, it's more the midfield is all brand new and it's a little disconnected. And I don't think that's helping the back line the same way. I don't think it's helping the attack. And it's maybe forcing Denis Bouanga to have to be Superman, So I think maybe, right, like the additions of Raposo, Amaya, and even Delgado and Tillman as he more, plays his second full season with LAFC, hopefully can adjust to it all. You have a brand new, two brand new names in Igor Jesus and Odin Holm who are still adjusting to the league as a whole. So I think it's going to be a little bit of time, even though, it's LAFC fans and what we expect of LAFC is success and wins and domination all in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I'm not worried, I guess.
No, I'm not worried.
Not really worried at all about them. I do think Lloris has not been nearly what I expected.
He hasn't
I expect him to be closer to Roman Berkey than, I don't know, a backup somewhere. I expect him to be a lot better.
You want me to just take the cheap joke here of he's a former Tottenham player, Jason? What do you expect? Come on,
I don't think. Well, I mean, he won a World Cup.
Not like your Liverpool man, okay?
Although, did he not just toss the ball in the goal in that World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even that great.
Yeah, go Liverpool. Yeah. It was a good weekend. Okay, it was a great weekend.
The Liverpool
only one soccer game I cared about in the weekend. Yep, I didn't watch any others.
The Liverpool title went down so that the Fire.
No, the Fire didn't play this weekend.
Yeah, sorry, forgot. The Fire didn't show up this weekend.
To be honest, they actually didn't.
No, well, they scored 2 goals though, but
the most ridiculous consolation goals I've ever seen.
One thing I just want to quickly wrap up for St. Louis is they did have their own end of transfer market move. They brought in Zonde Silva from Atlanta United. 28-year-old is coming over for $100,000 in GAM, potential for another $150 in GAM. He had 1 assist in 7 games for Atlanta this year, but obviously they added a bunch of new attackers, so I think there was some space for movement there. I know you actually don't want to talk about Nashville, Chicago, but there's just one thing that I want to just say about the game.
You really didn't have to put touchdown on the notes.
I mean, it was a touchdown versus safety. Okay, that's what this game was. Nashville did beat the Fire 7-2 in Nashville. Sam Surge, 4 goals. Hani Mukhtar, a brace and assist. Andy Nahar, I'm calling it now. I think he's the best right back in MLS in 2025 so far. He had 3 assists in this game. This is what I want to say about the game, Jason, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think this game is a true indication of how Nashville or Chicago currently are or what they are going to be for the rest of 2025. But I think there are some signs for hope and maybe concern for both sides. Nashville are not going to be this team scoring 7 goals a game or 3 goals a game or anything like that. But if this is the type of game that Sam Surge and Hani Mukhtar, who have been struggling to score, which has been the piece missing, because Nashville really haven't played poorly. It's just been the lack of, I think, those two finishing. If this is a type of confidence-building game, then I think you could see Nashville building off of this and succeeding a ton more in 2025. For the Fire, I don't think this is a defense or a team allowing 7 goals a game and being one of the worst defenses in the league. But if you look at the last 5, it's been a lot of rough performances. It's been a draw against the Montreal team who hasn't won this year. It has been losses to Cincinnati and Red Bulls and everything like that. And you can say maybe the Miami draw is a good result, whatever. I just think
which kind of sucks, but yeah.
Yes, I understand.
I'll take I was not unhappy with that point.
Exactly. And the same way I think when New York City drew Miami week 1, I was like, you know what, I'll take it.
I mean, in that game, maybe you were a little more upset because I think you guys had that one for the team.
We did, but whatever. Ultimately, I think maybe this is a good sign for Chicago to realize, okay, we can't keep allowing this. Chicago does have a bunch of injuries right now, which doesn't help. And I think it's a sign for Nashville to be like, okay, this is maybe the confidence that Surge and Hani can play with, along with the rest of this team that's been, again, a very good team for or a very consistent, solid team for lack of good words for me here. But is there anything that you disagree with in that or
not really. I'll keep my part short, or I'll try to. Just tell me to stop.
I was trying to help you out of not having to talk about it.
I think you're right. I think honestly, for both teams, they're just going to be inconsistent teams. They're both talented teams, both Nashville and Chicago, but they're going to be inconsistent. They're probably, I don't think, like you said, the Fire are going to be doing this. If you look at their roster, the defense back line has had the most change from last year to this year out of any position group. Like, it's pretty much completely new. Gutman was hurt part of last season. He's back. But we don't have Shihos anymore, who was our captain and kind of there for a while. Carlos Terran, unfortunately, like, I love the guy when he's playing, but he gets hurt every season.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, but like, I think I saw some stuff where it's like they were calling out Jack Elliott, and I think Chris Brady had a rough game, like uncharacteristically here. There was a couple that there was that one that was, if he just ran out, he could have gotten the ball, but he just kind of. But at that point, you're so far in your head, like you've already given up so many goals, like as a team. I don't know. I don't take anything from this game as like the worst thing to happen. I've seen people like online on Fire stuff saying like, oh, it's rough, what's Jack Elliott's value, but it takes some time, and I think the back line is probably the biggest thing that takes some time to really gel and get on the same page. And this kind of was like a perfect storm of being unready, and like it's only been one game since Tehran got hurt too, so or this might have been the first game that we didn't have him available at all. So it's been tough, and that was not a great game, and by any stretch. But I don't think it really reflects, like you're saying, on either team.
I agree. And ultimately, I think we're less than 6 months into Berhalter's first full season as Chicago Fire manager. Changes are going to be made.
I feel so much better coming off a loss like this with Berhalter and with the current roster that we have than I probably would have felt last year. At the same point last year through 10 games, I don't know what position we were in.
You guys had the same manager for the 5th time in club history, so like I get it.
But like it feels different. I think things are happening. It's not going to be a 1-year turnaround. It's a club that's basically not been in the playoffs for a decade. It's not going to take 1 year to get back. Okay, it's a whole culture that needs to change.
I fully agree with you. And a club that is in, I think...
I will add, sorry to interrupt, but I will add, Kuipers has been playing very well. Obviously, Bamba's been good.
He's your golden boot leader right now.
Yeah, well, tied, but Ty Baribo has slowed down a little bit.
Just a little. He had 6 goals in 2 games. Yeah, just a little.
But yeah, I think I'm really happy with like some of that movement in the front. Like we look like a different, way more threatening team.
All right, I'm gonna now switch up my transition. A team that's going to look a little different in the front is RSL, a team obviously that just went through a change in ownership, which probably didn't help a transfer window or an end of a transfer window, but it is a team that made 2 moves to finish things out. First, Real Salt Lake have acquired Willy Agada, the striker from Sporting Kansas City, for $500,000 in general allocation money, potential for another $350,000 in GAM. And SKC will retain some sell-on percentage of Agada. He has not factored in on a goal in 8 games so far for SKC this year, but probably potentially because Dejan Joveljic has stepped into the starting role there. But he is a guy who has 61 career goals in 203 games, and his goal contribution per game ratio for SKC, very good. He's scoring a goal or factoring in on a goal about every game and a half. So like every whatever that is, 150 minutes, 180 minutes, I think the number was off the top of my head. RSL are also bringing in MLS veteran, our guy Johnny Russell. The 35-year-old winger was a free agent, obviously leaving the Sporting Kansas City organization, so maybe a little familiarity there with Willy Agada. But he had 5 goals. So. He had 5 goals and 5 assists in 36 games for SKC last year. I think RSL is probably hoping he can just bring a little bit of that Johnny Russell love, flair, toughness, experience to the rest of the attack that they're trying to put together here. Jason, we'll start with the transfers and then we'll talk about the game a little bit. Do you like it? I don't think there's anything not to like, but do you like the moves?
Yeah, no, like you said, there's not really anything to dislike. Johnny Russell isn't the guy he was 5 years ago, but I'll always love him. Like he's a fun guy to root for. It's good to just see RSL making these improvements this quickly, right? Like I didn't expect after Arango was gone, them to be kind of like right back at it. And I'm not saying this is like a 1-for-1 replacement. It's not. But with Diego Luna, the way he's playing, they have a chance to kind of start making waves here. And I think they already kind of are. But they're on the outside looking in at the moment of the playoffs. Just a little more consistency, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, look, this maybe a move like this. Agada is not a DP level striker. Johnny Russell is not a DP level winger at this stage in his career and everything like that. But it's maybe two moves where if you give Diego Luna now Willy Agada in front of him, it opens things up for both of them. And maybe Willy Agada can go back to the goal scoring ways that we've seen from him in MLS past, right? And the same thing, I think, for Johnny Russell, maybe bringing in some leadership on and off the field. I think it's good, right?
Well, maybe it gives them another look, like with Peel up front versus Agada.
Ajago, who had some flair a little bit to start the season.
I think it gives them a couple options, and they still have DP slots. Maybe, I mean, I guess it's too late now, but maybe in the summer.
Maybe we see it at the end of the year. But RSL did go on the road this past weekend to San Diego, where they got a big 3-1 win on the road. Like I said, San Diego, they have now three straight losses to Colorado, to Charlotte, and now to RSL.
And allowed 3 goals in all of those.
Yeah, I mean, it is slowly, I think, maybe the fun inaugural new team vibe has slowly faded away, and now this is the grind of the MLS season. Travel back and forth, all that fun stuff. San Diego isn't the most accessible place in the country. I've been there. It's it's not the easiest to get to from everywhere in the US, or even Canada. So maybe the travel's factoring in a few things, but it's also a lot of new names, faces, and guys getting used to the league and the city and everything that we've mentioned. So I think San Diego will be fine, but I think maybe the realization of an MLS league schedule is kind of hitting them a little bit, if maybe that's a fair statement.
Yeah, I mean, I think they obviously came out in the season strong, but I think they're a little bit better than I think we probably assumed and most people thought, but I don't know if they're where they were, like at the top. I think they're probably somewhere in the center almost, like somewhere fighting for a playoff spot, which for a new club with a lot of new faces, that's a really good spot to be. So it is a little concerning, 3 straight losses. They have 3 goals and they've allowed 3 goals. So they're basically averaging a 3-1 loss in all those games. They've got Dallas at home. I think if they lose that, that's not good, because then
I don't know, man. I'm high on Dallas.
It has nothing to do with Dallas. It's more like they're at home. They just lost to RSL at home.
Yeah, another home loss is tough.
I think that was their first home loss. So
yeah. Well, Chucky Lozano has been hot. He's been good. He scored in this one. He has 2 goals and 3 assists in 7 games so far for San Diego. But to kind of, I guess, close the door on Real Salt Lake really quick, you mentioned it, Jason. Diego Luna's on fire. He had a brace in this one. He had a PK. He had a goal just before the half, and then a PK just after the half. He has 5 goals in 9 games this season, and I also just have to give love to Emeka Eneli. He's, even through the struggles of RSL, Emeka Eneli is just the most consistent central midfielder. Like that dude is like traditional.
Playing himself into every conversation.
He's just the most traditional like number 8. I feel like I've seen in MLS in such a long time. So I just want to give some love to.
Are
Luna.
you at all concerned about 0 assists for Luna? Like,
no,
I don't think I am. But I kind of want to see the assists jump a little.
And I think Willy Agada will do that. No offense to Peel, their new striker that they brought in from Australia, or Foster Ajago. There was no actual goal-scoring threat on this team outside of Diego Luna. I think adding Willy Agada actually.
Okay, so we're expecting. So we will be concerned if in 5 weeks.
If Willy Agada doesn't have a goal for the next 5 weeks and Luna isn't on the end of at least one of those,
let's see who they play in those weeks.
I'll have some concern there.
Ooh, at Vancouver, at Dallas, Portland. Oh, they've got a tough 5 weeks, man.
Yeah. I mean, if RSL want to be the team, they gotta put up the
But
numbers.
then they got the Galaxy, so just wait. Just say 6 weeks. Oh no, they have Austin. I misread that. 7 weeks. 7 weeks.
I'm gonna roll through a transfer in the game from the weekend really quickly. New York City, they finally got involved in the fucking transfer window. They signed defensive midfielder Aiden O'Neill from Standard Liège in Belgium. O'Neill, 26-year-old Australian international. He has 19 caps for Australia. He's a 2-time A-League champion. This year, he played 29 games for Standard Liège with a goal and an assist. He has 205 games played in his career. At 26 years old, that's not too shabby. New York City definitely needed the central midfield depth and central. I mean, he's most likely a starter, so central midfield help as well. But this team just can't create shit on their own. We got saved by picking up a road win against Toronto. That was a PK that Alonso Martinez put away. Defensively, I think New York City's a very good team, but as far as creativity, this team still has nothing going on. So it's Alonso Martinez doing his thing, and he has 6 goals in 9 games this season, which shout out Alonso Martinez. But there's no one creating for him, so it's going to be a lot of zeros next to New York City's name this year, unless they can figure out some type of tactical shift to create something. Is that a fair assessment there, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I think winning on a PK versus Toronto is maybe not ideal. Not something to write stories about.
Thank you. Let's go Austin FC, and they had a very interesting game with the Houston Dynamo this past weekend. But just really quickly to mention Austin FC's end of transfer market move, they've acquired Robert Taylor from Inter Miami for $700,000 in GAM with a potential for $50,000 in GAM.
I don't like it.
I sounded a little dramatic when I read it. I kind of just didn't think that much for Robert Taylor. He is a full Finnish international. I have to say that, right? We just haven't seen him play that much for Miami because of every other attacking piece that Miami has on their roster. He does have a goal in 7 games so far this season for Inter Miami, but Robert Taylor coming in to help bolster a team that, we've said it, every single week now, that has Uzuni, Bukhari, Brandon Vasquez, Yadier Obrian, right? Diego Rubio. This team has a lot in the attack. And
I hate it, dude. I think it's a bad move. It's not anything against Robert Taylor. I think it's a lot of money to then add him to what you've already spent millions on, right? Maybe this helps them. Maybe. And their defense has been good enough to keep. I mean, it's weird because I feel horrible about a team that's sitting in 3rd right now. It's the truth. I feel they have a -3 goal differential. How are they even? Nothing makes sense with this team. But I don't like it just because it's almost like you're admitting failure before really giving it, I think, the full shot. I obviously Uzuni, Bukhari, even Vasquez have not been near what I think the expectations were. I mean, they have 7 total goals on the season.
Yeah.
Which is horrible for 30 plus million. I don't remember exactly.
I think it was 20 million, 22, something like that.
Ridiculous, man.
Still, it doesn't make it better. I'm just saying.
It does. I mean, it doesn't make it that. Yeah. I mean, it makes it a little better. But no, I don't love it. I think. I mean, I guess if you're gonna be willing to spend the money, you might as well on that.
Yeah.
Obviously, your defense has been able to hold pretty strong here. But the more pressure they apply,
I guess my thinking is like, if you want to be too deep, like 2 players deep at every single position, then sure, you bring in Robert Taylor, because then you're talking about, you know, a B team attack of Robert Taylor, Diego Rubio, and Yadier Obrian, who that's not necessarily the worst thing I've ever heard.
I actually kind of like that attack, but
we've seen starting teams have worse attacks.
Yeah.
You know, starting A teams have worse attacks, and I think, to your point, it's fair to say.
Yeah, but that means your B team is still like what, $2 million?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a handful.
Behind 22 million.
Yeah, I think defensively this team is good. Brad Stuver, I'm going to say maybe the best goalkeeper in MLS this year. I like Owen Wolf. I like Danny Pereira. I like everything outside of the fact that this team is struggling to score goals. And I don't
put
think
it together.
No Brandon Vasquez in this game against Houston this past weekend as well. I think he came down with an illness, but like Azuni and Bakari did not look well together. And
I'm not like totally. This isn't definitive at all either.
No,
like they could rattle off a game like Nashville just had and really get back on track. Like I don't know.
Well,
maybe they need a game like that.
Maybe they need to play the Fire.
Okay. Whoa. I mean, they have a tough schedule. I mean, Minnesota at home and then at Cincinnati is tough.
I ultimately think, we're talking about a trio that hasn't, even of the 10 games to start the MLS season, Azuni missed 3 games. Vasquez has missed, I think, like 3 games. Bakari hasn't been there for a few games. So you're talking about a trio that hasn't played together that much in a 10-week span, which really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things.
Are you looking at Austin in third, 16 points, feeling good? Because I feel like I look at it and I go, that looks horrible.
This is not
how are they there? But
this is not a third place team.
But also, good for them for being there.
No, good for them.
Like, how are they here? It just doesn't. Nothing. It's like when math just doesn't work. I don't know.
They've pulled off some big wins, and you have to give them credit. And I think a lot of that does fall on Brad Stuver in the back line, to be perfectly honest. The teams that they've beaten, though, I'm not going to sit here and say they've beaten world beaters. They've beaten the Galaxy. They've beaten SKC. They've beaten St. Louis. They beat a brand new San Diego team while Austin was at home. They beat, that's really it. They haven't knocked off a killer's row of opposing teams. They've struggled against good teams. They've done okay against okay teams, and they've beaten bad teams, which is what you have to do. So I'm not discrediting that. But the last part is what you have to do. You should probably go beat the good teams too. But, ultimately, I think Austin's going to need a little bit more time to figure it out, is my general takeaway. But Houston, I think they figured it out a little bit, Jason. And with a growing injury list, they're doing it a little bit. Defensively, holding up. Their new DP attacker, I think you were talking about him a little bit last week, but Andrej Linger now has 2 goals in 2 games for Houston. Ezekiel Ponce had another goal in this game. He has 2 goals in his last 3. I think Houston might be figuring it out.
I think they definitely are. I mean, they haven't lost since Portland, who for some reason, I guess Portland's really good.
Portland is actually very good.
Yeah. And at the time it was probably like, what? How? And now it's like, okay, that's not a bad loss. But yeah, I think this Houston team has made some really good movement, forward momentum. They have a lot of players injured. Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying is this team's figuring it out, and imagine when they get their new striker in that we talked about.
Honestly, I know in the past we've kind of, at least personally, I've kind of talked down Ben Olsen, but in his Houston tenure, he's been awesome. Awesome. And I think this is a lot of credit to him, these turn of form, because they're, like you said, they're figuring it out. And I think that's on Ben Olsen, who's kind of piecing it together. I think the Linger signing through 2 weeks, obviously looked really, really good.
Been an A+ through 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really small sample size, but
yes,
if he can just be even half of that, like a goal every other game, I'm pretty happy with it, right? So,
well, even if Linger turns into a player that can help open up Ezekiel Ponce, which through 2 weeks it's kind of looked like that's the case a little bit, maybe that helps unlock Ezekiel Ponce to a different level. And then again, when
you have a guy on the other side of the field, Jack McGlynn, now you have like pretty talented people at every position up top, right? Like,
and
now you have people who are taking defenders, making them follow, making them track you. And I think Linger, Bossy, McGlynn, they can all play that ball in.
Yes, I fully agree. They're all, and then you have Nico Ladero still there, who, yes, isn't the Nico Ladero of old, but he's still Nico.
They still have Artur, who is very good.
Yes. And then you're looking at an injury list, and I just want to read this off for folks, that consists of Lawrence Anali, Dwayne Holmes, Toyoshi Olasanya, the new striker that they signed, Pablo Ortiz, the new center back that they signed that I think is figuring out some visa issues, Nelson Quinones, Sebastian Kowalczyk. Like, you're looking at an injury list that get half these guys back and the team's amplified to a different level. So I have faith in Houston. I think they're going to be good, and we've seen good from them. Houston did at the end of the transfer window transfer out Ibrahim Aliyu, the 23-year-old former Nigerian youth international. The forward is going over to Columbus for $450,000 in GAM, potential for another $750,000 in GAM, and Houston will retain the sell-on percentage for Aliyu. He did win the U.S. Open Cup with the Dynamo, and he did not factor into a goal so far in 8 games this season for Houston. But again, a team that struggled, had some injuries, transfers didn't get done in time, blah, blah, blah. So, it's good times down in Houston. And then I think just to quickly mention the Crew, good times continuing for Columbus. I mean, yes, they had that 1-0 loss to Inter Miami in Cleveland, away home game, whatever we want to call it. But they picked up another win over San Jose this past weekend, 2-1, and the Crew are in second place in the Eastern Conference on 21 points. They're still as dominant as we know them and love them.
Yeah, the Crew are just a machine. There's really nothing to say at this point.
Yeah, that's
like Wilfried Nancy should be the guy that's going to Europe. Like,
I mean, literally,
it's impressive as hell what he's been able to do, and with pretty much whoever at this point.
I mean, Sean Zawatsky is playing central midfield, center back, full back, scoring goals. Max Arfston's a winger converted to wing back, getting USMNT call-ups. He had his goal in this game, step over, put it past like Daniel. Like that was unbelievable. The only thing that I wanted to mention about this game, outside of the Crew are still so much fun to watch, and I love Wilfried Nancy, is Josef Martinez is like thriving under Bruce Arena. Yeah. I think maybe even more than Chicho Arango. He had a goal in this game, 6 goals and an assist in 9 games for the Quake so far this year. Like, I think Josef Martinez might be thriving once again in MLS circles. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take, but
I don't think it is. I mean, well, it's definitely not. I mean, 6 goals and 1 assist. He's definitely thriving. Like,
he had 12 goals last year for Montreal. We're 10 games into the season. Like,
I think he thrives in a very talented, fast-paced attack. Right, and I think San Jose really likes attacking.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I think it's helpful. I mean, and he's also taking the PKs, isn't he? So
yes, I mean that helps, but his little hop step. All right, let's talk about the last transfer that I think was of note. Julian Gressel is on the move. Inter Miami waived him, and through all those waivers, Minnesota United were the team to pick him up. The 31-year-old central midfielder, wing back, right winger, whatever you want to call him, is going to. He's just everywhere. One of the best that we've seen in MLS all time, I'll throw out there. But the 2-time MLS Cup champion, the Supporter Shield winner, the U.S. Open Cup winner, the 2-time Canadian Championship winner, and the Campeones Cup winner is headed to Minnesota. He has not played so far this season for Inter Miami, obviously not in Javier Mascherano's plans. But Jason, you give me, obviously Minnesota struggling offensively these last few weeks. You give me Kelvin Yeboah, you give me Robin Ludd, you give me Julian Gressel, Tani Oluwaseyi, you give me Bongi. I think this team can figure it out, and it could be really fucking fun if all these pieces start to click.
Yeah, I mean, the talent is clearly there. I think in the last few weeks, it's kind of stagnated. Especially like the at Toronto draw isn't great, 0-0, but they've kept themselves in these games. They're still in 4th. Like, this is a team that's in 4th, and I actually feel way better about them than, like, for instance, Austin, like we were talking about, who's in 3rd, who I don't feel great about. But it's sort of just like, from watching the games, it's a team that's threatening. Like, Minnesota is a threatening team. And I think, like you said, with Tani Oluwaseyi, Kelvin Yeboah, like very, very, very strong attackers. We've seen it work. We know it can work. Bringing in Gressel, I think, is going to help them. How old is Gressel now? He's got to be in his
31.
Okay. That's a little younger than I thought, actually. But I actually really like that, and I think it helps them quite a bit, especially with the way they like to play with like a 3-back kind of system.
Well, I just feel like obviously they've been struggling to create, right? I think if you threw Julian Gressel next to Robin Ludd in the midfield, it would work. I think if you threw him as like almost like a 10 in front of Ludd, it would work. If you threw him at right wing back, it would work. I just think for a team, and Kelvin Yeboah, who I think is lethal, that needs a little bit more creativity, if it's all falling on Robin Ludd and Joaquin Pereira, it's not going to happen. No shot to Joaquin Pereira. I just don't know if he's that level. I think Julian Gressel, who we've seen do it consistently, we've seen do it from Miami to DC to Vancouver to Atlanta.
Hello?
The week is a week gonna go by where there's just no technical difficulties.
I was like, is this me? Am I frozen?
I don't know where I left off. I like Julian Gressel to Minnesota. Fuck it.
Dude, it just gives them another way to attack. I think that's it. It gives them another look.
All right, Jason. Is there a game or a team we haven't talked about this week that you feel like we should mention before we get into your picks for the weekend?
Yeah, I think there's like at one game, both teams, right? I think there's one game I want to talk about, both teams. I think
there's a lot of games I want to talk about, but we're at 56 minutes, so I don't know if we can.
Okay, but the one I'm talking about is Orlando 3-0 win versus Atlanta. I think where Atlanta is at currently is pretty concerning to me, especially given the expectations. They have scored 0 goals in 3 games now. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Especially with the money they've put in. It's sort of like I don't think it's the same as Austin because I don't know, but like Latte Lath, like I know he's a goal scorer. We've seen it this season, but like
I don't blame Latte Lath in the struggle.
I don't either. I think Miguel Almiron, they have Saba still, Moranchuk. Like we've seen that like a lot of these players have success. We saw this team have success last season. I think their defense really needs some work. Like
bad.
It's time to retool because or put in someone else. Like at this point, it can't get worse. They're just bleeding goals. They've allowed 2 straight 3-0 losses, and before that a 1-0 loss to New England, who is struggling to score on their own, but actually not looking horrible anymore. So I'm not going to talk about them, even though I would love to. But
that's fine. I'm letting you go with this.
I don't know. I think just something needs to change, and that's. I mean, Orlando's a good team. They've been one of those consistent teams towards the top of the East for years now. I think we kind of talked about them a little bit with the Oscar Pareja news a week ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's really worth going into them.
I
will say.
You finish.
What's their? Is it? Who's their new guy?
Pasalic.
Very good. We have got a fight for newcomer of the year this year.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Kevin Denke and
Pasalic. I mean, I'm assuming Latte Lath will figure it out eventually.
I'm hoping Bamba's in the conversation.
Yeah, even that, I think that's fine. It's funny you talk about this game and you bring up Atlanta first in it, just because, like, I think Atlanta still needs to figure it out a ton. You have a new coach, new GM, new everything, and I think they need to figure it out, and it's bad, and defensively it's bad, and I think that doesn't help the attack either. I just want to quickly mention, shout out Alex Freeman, Orlando City's 20-year-old right back, wing back, whatever you want to call it. Another goal this season. He had a goal in this game against Atlanta. At 20 years old, he has 3 goals and an assist in 10 games in his first full season, where I think he's been given the starting role for this team. So shout out Alex Freeman. Dude's a boss. Play him. Atlanta United could probably benefit from Alex Freeman playing on the right.
Atlanta United could benefit from just able bodies. Like
I mean, that is fair.
The only reason I started with Atlanta was because I think Orlando's living up to my expectations of what I'm hoping for them this season.
Fair.
Like, I think they are doing well, and I think they should be doing well. And I think Atlanta, I expected very big things from, and they're just not good. Like, they're not good.
I am going to roll through some things that I think we should quickly mention. Interrupt me if you want to say something about it. Sound fair?
Yep.
FC Cincinnati with a 2-1 win over Sporting Kansas City. I think the two big things to note here. Kevin Denke, unbelievable. Dude, I don't know. There is a reason why before Emmanuel Latte
maybe goal of the season.
I mean, that bite kick was unbelievable.
We had a couple of really nice goals. Mihailovic had a beautiful goal this weekend too.
Yes, Mihailovic did as well. I just want to mention Kevin Denke, 6 goals, 0 assists in 9 games this season in MLS. He has 8 goals and then 1 assist if you count, the CONCACAF Champions Cup action earlier in the season. Cincinnati are at top of the East, and guess what? Matt Miazga's fully back, healthy, playing alongside Miles Robinson. Cincinnati are in a prime spot to win something in 2025. Imagine if Thomas Mueller just accepted and wanted to come to Cincinnati. Such a shame. Such a shame.
I feel confident that really happened.
Bro, I don't care. I know. Actually, Tom Bogert said that was confirmed.
Okay.
Thomas Mueller declined a contract from FC Cincinnati, and Cincinnati have his discovery rights because finding 36-year-old Thomas Mueller was a struggle out there.
Discovery rights of European superstars are the most confusing things to me ever.
It's fine. It is. It's Major League Soccer, New England Revolution pulling off a 1-0 win over Charlotte FC. Carlos Hill stays hot. He now has 2 goals and an assist in his last 3 games for the Revs.
All we need to do with the Revs is read the form chart.
The form chart is on fire. 4 wins in their last 5. But the thing that I want us to say is I think Caleb Porter figured it out with the formation change from the 4-2-3-1 to the 3-5-2. Playing Campagna, who's back healthy, which is great for them, next to Ignatius Ganago is unbelievable. Ganago is not a true winger. Porter was trying to force him out at the wing, and I think 2 up top, they both play off each other so well. Carlos Hill is allowed to just be that creative piece just underneath them. I think the Revs, I think Caleb Porter's hot seat's cooling down a little bit. Just a little bit is what I'll say.
I would say he's not even close anymore.
That's feeling fair.
Good. I'm feeling good, and I was a proponent to wait.
you were right, Jason, all along. You were right. Let's
put me in charge.
The last game or thing, teams I guess I wanted to bring up are the Galaxy and the Timbers, right? Timbers win big 4-2 on the road in LA. LA Galaxy and CF Montreal still winless in MLS in 2025, which is an issue. And if we're going to talk about hot seats, Jason, I know we slightly brought it up last week, but is Greg Vanney officially on the hot seat after winning MLS Cup last year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that
I don't remember what I said last week. I think I was leaning towards yes even then, but this is so bad. And I know Puig is out, but again, if you need to rely this heavily on one player, that's concerning.
Yeah, the team isn't built correctly.
I mean, think of all these other MLS teams who have lost one of their top performers. It's not that rare.
Yeah.
So, and it's not this much of a fall off. I mean, they're the worst. I know you said Montreal's the worst team in the league. You could argue that this team's worse.
I mean, am I talking, which shit smells worse?
Galaxy versus Montreal will be game of the week when
it happens. Fireworks. Look, I'm not saying Greg Vanney should be fired from his position. I don't believe that right now, but I do believe the LA Galaxy are in crisis mode. They don't have any money to work with. DP spots are filled. U22 spots are filled. TAM, I know, is all filled up. They are at the max financially that they can potentially do anything with. Ricky Puig is gone for this year. Let's just call it that. And
I mean, he's not coming back, even if he can.
At this point, yeah. You've won one game all season long, and that was against Herediano at home in LA in Champions Cup action.
They don't have a single win in MLS play, man.
That's what I'm saying is you've won one game period this year. So it's Greg Vanney to me is on the hot seat. I don't think he should be fired, but I think
tough because
the conversation
kind of
should be
agree. I kind of agree he shouldn't be fired, but then you look at actually how they're playing, how they're
it's
doing.
not good. Yeah, it's fair.
It's not good. It's catastrophic, dude. It's you might as well not even field a team.
That's what I'm saying.
Bad.
That's why I said they're in crisis mode. And look, if you look at the injury report from this last weekend, the only dude on the injury report is Ricky Pooch, which we know about. You know, the drop off shouldn't be this much. It shouldn't be this bad. I don't know. Maybe Vanny's got to switch up the entire 11. I don't really know. But
meanwhile, Houston's missing an 11, and they're looking pretty
I mean, literally, I will say that. And I will say the starting 11 or 18 that you can put together from this Galaxy roster without Puig, I still think should be good enough to go get a result. But that's just me, maybe. For the Timbers,
I was gonna say we didn't talk about the Timbers nearly enough.
For the Timbers, I mean, you're looking at a team that's hot. You're looking at a team that's arguably outside of the Whitecaps, the next best team in the Western Conference. Anthony, their star young Brazilian winger, had 3 assists in this game. He's now up to 9 goal contributions on the year in 10 games. David Da Costa scoring. Jonathan Rodriguez is officially back from injury. He put away a PK in this one. You have Kevin Kelsey and Santiago Moreno also scoring. Phil Neville, for everything that I think people shit on him for, you've definitely are not a Phil Neville guy. He's put together a strong Timbers team so far, 10 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I think the signings made by the front office really, really, really hit.
I love
David Da Costa and Anthony, great signings. Love it.
I look, Anthony is a dude that I'll transition into this. He's a 23-year-old Brazilian. He's been on the team. This is his 3rd year now on the Timbers. I think if he can kind of keep up a little bit, he's not going to keep up 3 assists a game kind of form, but it's the type of season that I think at 23 years old, you could potentially move an Anthony to, a mid-table or mid-tier club in Europe next year and make a few $1 million off of him. I think it's very possible. So shout out what the Timbers are doing to start the year. And yeah, David Da Costa, very, very good player. Jason, let's end the episode. Give me your Saturday game of the weekend and give me your Sunday game of the weekend. Not Sunday's
Sunday
rough.
night, man. I mean, there's only one choice for Sunday. That's I guess I'll go in order. What am I doing? I just had it picked.
I mean, you can just give me your Sunday. It's 2 games. It's really there's 2.
Yeah, I mean it's NYCFC versus Cincy.
I'm excited to be disappointed Sunday.
I actually think that will be it could be a good game. Cincinnati's really good, so
you're coming.
Kind of depends on if New York can really show up.
You're coming off of the playoff run from last year where New York City eliminated Cincinnati. I think
you're home.
There's a little bit of hatred, rivalry there building.
It's in a baseball stadium.
Okay, bro. Why we gotta do this? Go to your Saturday game.
I mean, you had to say touchdown. Okay, so.
Oh, by the way, the Mets still best record in baseball. By the way, so we're gonna keep that going.
There's a couple on Saturday I think could be good. I'm a little concerned for Atlanta.
Oh yeah, imagine Nashville puts up 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. That'd be crazy.
I would respect it, honestly. But I think I'm gonna go with the Crew versus Charlotte.
Okay.
We didn't even talk about Charlotte's little interesting.
Yeah, look, we gave the Revs their love, which they completely deserve.
Yeah.
Not good from Charlotte this past weekend, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But that's my game of the week. I think there are a couple. I think Seattle versus St. Louis should be good.
I think
LAFC versus Houston.
Yeah,
there's some bad blood there, right? So
we were on the same page right there.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, I love it. I'm going to end it there. Folks, thank you so much for watching, listening. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get this podcast, YouTube, all that fun stuff. This has been episode 333. We'll be back next week to talk whoever made the Champions Cup final from MLS, and then obviously a whole weekend slate. Thank you, folks.
Whitecaps.